The Geeking Poetic Podcast starts now.
Man. Try this again. People at home don't know, but this is actually the second time we're going to try and start this episode because I completely botched the intro theme.
Yep, that was smooth. That was real smooth.
That wasn't smooth at all. Oh, man, what a mess.
This is why we need to do this more than once a month.
Oh, gosh, yeah, exactly. Man, we'll see how this goes. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Geeking Poetic channel. I'm one of your hosts, Larry Roberts. This sassy one that is over to my right that you can hear on the microphone right now is none other than
Megan Guess.
So yeah, on this show, we like to just focus on all the things that we think are pretty cool, all our Gen X geeky stuff. And it's the things that we mostly talk about and focus on in our group on Facebook, which is the Geeking Squad group. Free and open for any of you to join as long as you're not a complete dillweed.
No politics, no religion,
No.
Just fun, geeky stuff.
Exactly. So we talk about things from the movies, TV, books, comics, toys,
Food,
sciencey stuff, archaeology stuff, Egypt stuff, because that's Megan's thing.
Yeah, it's my jam.
She likes all that kind of stuff. So we focus on that here, and what we do is on this show, we like to go and look at what has been discussed or topics that have been popular in the Geeking Squad group, and we kind of touch on more of like the more pop culture-y stuff that's been going on in media, and we do this all under the first section of the show, which is called
What's Shaking, Bacon?
Just one day, my dream is that we're going to get big enough of a show that we could have Kevin Bacon be a special guest, just so when he comes on to be like, introduce everybody. He needs no introduction. One of the most iconic actors from the 80s and 90s and beyond. We have Mr. Kevin Bacon. And then he's like, he's like, hey, everybody. And then I hit that button and be like, Kevin, I just have one very important question for you.
What's shaking, Bacon?
Just to have him be like,
oh my God, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Be like, this team's call has ended.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing this anymore.
He just goes silent. It's a black screen.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be the quickest, we ever lost a guest, right? But anyway, yes, this section is called What's Shakin' Bacon, and it's just what's shaken in pop culture news lately. And as always, because I'm a complete Debbie Downer, I'm the one that decides to start off the show like, hey, yeah, we're rocking and rolling. We're going to start this off with a bunch of celebrity deaths. Because I'm a morose mofo. No, I just feel like
we
it's...
like to acknowledge.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just right. We don't want to leave it as an afterthought. There's been a couple of deaths lately that really bummed me out. I mean, there have been several people have passed that made a mark in various forms of art. But because I'm a musician, music is my thing. There were a couple that happened lately that really bothered me, that was really depressing. One of them, really shocking one, was that singer-songwriter Jill Sobule, who some of you, if you're not immediately familiar with her name, she had several hits. She was a very prolific songwriter and performer, but her biggest hit was the song from the mid-90s called I Kissed a Girl. Not to be confused with that damn Katy Perry song that I had to play way more times than I ever wanted to when I was in the cover band. No, this was actually a landmark song in a way. It came out in 95 and it was widely recognized as the first openly gay themed song because it was about gay. Yeah.
Girl kissing a girl.
Girl thing. Yeah. And it might seem quaint nowadays, but back then, 30 years ago in 95, it was quite titillating.
Scandalous?
Yeah, exactly. Scandal. But yeah, unfortunately, she died She lived in Minneapolis, and there was a house fire at her house in the early morning hours, and she perished in the fire. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I know, with you, just you and these cats here. I know. Yeah, well, you need to get more fire alarms and all sorts of things up in here. And I know you're usually pretty good about making sure that,
unplug everything.
Yeah, you are an unplug everything person, which is good. Except for when you leave the TVs going all week long.
Well, that's 24/7.
Yeah.
I need it for me and the cats. So.
Well, it's just okay. But in any case, not to make light of it because it's a terrible thing that happened.
Awful.
But Jill Sobule is definitely going to be missed. I've seen a lot of other artists reaching out saying that they're really hurt by this because obviously I never knew her personally or anything like that. But everything I've heard about her is that she was really awesome, was a really, really cool person. So that's a very tragic loss. Another tragic loss is somebody who, again, I never met, but one of my heroes, actually. Honestly, it's hard for me, but if somebody would have asked me a while back, anytime, actually, if I could make a list of who I think the top 10 most badass drummers in rock were, this guy would be in that top 10. He's that good. He may not be as big of a name as somebody like Keith Moon or John Bonham or Ringo Starr, but Blondie drummer Clem Burke is, to those who know, if you know, you know, he was a badass drummer. He was just great, versatile, lots of energy, great style about him. He always looked the coolest, he was very hip. And he was the original drummer with Blondie for years. He also did a stint for a while in the Ramones. He was actually a Ramone for a while. And he played with numerous other people as well. But unfortunately, it turns out that he had been very privately battling cancer. And back in early April, they released the statement that he had passed away from it. It's another one that really affected a lot of people in the scene. He was one of those drummers that was very connected to a lot of different artists, a lot of different people, highly respected by a lot of different artists and people out there. So a major letdown to find out that Clem Burke is gone. So, and I never got to see him. I've never seen Blondie.
Oh, really?
As big of a Blondie fan as
Yeah.
I've never seen Blondie. It's just another one of those that I can't explain it. It's somehow I just always missed them when they would come around. So, yeah, that's a shame. But anyway, our hats go off to both of them, and they will continue to be sorely missed. And hopefully, at the very least, it'll, as this type of thing tends to do, it'll cause people to become more aware of them and what they did, and, they'll move on into becoming legends. Yes, yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on to some music news that has to do with people who are still around. And again, speaking of legends and speaking of people that I would put in my list of all-time favorites, you and pretty much anybody else that knows me would know that I'm excited about this. For the first time in over 50 years, the original Alice Cooper Band has reunited and created a whole new studio album together.
Wow.
Talk about taking your time, right? Nothing waiting for 50 years to finally go, maybe we should just get back together and make a new album. The funny thing about this, I won't go into a whole thing about the history of Alice Cooper for people that don't know, but Alice Cooper wasn't a guy. Initially,
it was the band, right?
It was the band. That was the name of the band. And the guy his name's Vince. Vince Fournier. That's Alice Cooper's name. He's Vince. And he took on the name early on of being they were just well, why don't you be Alice Cooper? Because what happened was when they were first kind of getting known in the California scene and all that, people would always come up and be like, which one's Alice? Mm-hmm. It's what they do. It's just like the famous Pink Floyd song where he says, oh, and by the way, which one's Pink? You know, there is no Pink Floyd in the band, you know. But anyway, people thought that, so Alice was like, why not? I'll just be Alice. I'll just take that on as my persona. And then over time, he crafted it into the Alice persona that we all know, this kind of crazy madman thing. But the original band was extremely important, and they made a certain sound together. Now, Alice was great after they broke up in 75. He was great. He did Welcome to My Nightmare and all sorts of other stuff, but it was never the same. The sound was never the same. The style, it changed pretty drastically.
Okay.
And I love the original band. I've told the story many times, but the first album that I really remember hearing and absorbing and that made a huge impression on me when I was literally like 3 or 4 years old was Love It to Death by Alice Cooper, because I had relatives who were into it and they played it for me. So it's in my freaking DNA. It really
Pretty
is.
much, yeah.
I mean, it's in my DNA, you know, like somebody could come up to me and say, hey, play one of those songs. And I can immediately pick up the guitar and sing and play the song because I just know it. So the idea that they're getting together after all these years to do new music is really exciting. Now, I'm not so naive and stupid as to think that it's going to sound like 1971. I know
Yeah,
it's
they've
not.
all grown since then.
Yeah, and things just sound different. However, I did hear the preview single. It's called Black Mamba, which is really cool too, because Black Mamba, of course, is the name of one of my favorite movie characters, Uma Thurman, in Kill Bill.
Okay.
And everything.
Oh.
She was Beatrix Kiddo, aka the Black Mamba. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder if that was like connected to that, if that was an influence. They also used to have a very famous old song from the Love It to Death album called Black Juju. So I feel like this is probably their way of kind of carrying on from that. It's a good song. It's not like mind blowing, but it's like, oh yeah, this sounds cool. And it sounds modern in its own ways. The production's modern and everything, but it sounds like them. Like I can hear it and go, yep, that's Neil Smith drumming. That's Dennis Dunaway's bass playing style. Like they had very distinctive styles of playing. And then of course Alice, you know. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm very excited about it. So now I can't imagine these guys are going to tour. But
really?
if they do,
That'll be one Alice.
I will be there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I'm not going to be there, because that's been like a life, literally my entire life, at least for 49 of my 52 years, has been wanting to see that. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
All right, so moving on to some movie stuff.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie producers are in talks of making a live-action Toys R Us movie.
I heard about this.
Okay.
So I think the details are still a little bit sketchy, but first of all, I haven't seen those Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Oh, really?
Have you seen them?
I've seen a couple. Yeah, I think at least 2 of them.
I think because there's like 3 of them
Yeah, I think
out,
so.
right? I've heard they're really good.
They're cute. Yeah.
Are they?
They're silly.
Are they kind of like the Super Mario one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then I definitely need to watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Okay, well...
They're fun.
Okay, that sounds cool. Yeah, well then, we'll see. Maybe this has promise then. But
Okay.
From what I heard, they're going to do this movie where it almost sounds, in a lot of ways, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a cross between Night at the Museum and Toy Story. Because it's going to be kind of like a thing where the toy store like comes alive at night kind of thing. Very Night at the Museum style. But then it's going to be like with like recognizable toys and things coming to life. Very Toy Story style.
Right.
So I love both of those movies. Both of those franchises. So this could be cool.
Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. It's going to make me really yearn
For Toys R Us.
for being able to go and hang out at Toys R Us, because God, I miss Toys R Us. And I know we've talked about it. We talked about it a couple episodes ago that Toys R Us is kind of back.
Yeah, it's trying to make a comeback, but it's
still not quite the same.
no.
But I wonder, my big question is, because there's not too much we can say about this movie yet, because it's just been announced.
Right.
But if they do a Toys R Us movie, if it does well, I've got a whole plan here. My thing is I'm going to promote the shit out of this movie because if it does well,
maybe they'll bring it back for real.
Yes, maybe it will help raise because here's the thing, for like the average 6-year-old kid, right? Which to me is kind of like target Toys R Us. Like somewhere between 4 and 8. Most 4 to 8-year-olds don't know Toys R Us.
No. It's been gone that long almost.
Yeah, I mean, even an 8-year-old would, I don't know, they may have gone to Toys R Us back before it closed.
They don't remember it. They were too young.
Right. They're not really going to remember it. So my thing is, if these kids see it and they like this movie, if it's something like Sonic the Hedgehog movie has made Sonic, not that Sonic was ever not popular, but it has reinvigorated.
Give him his resurgence.
Yeah. Same with Super Mario. Look how huge.
He's huge now.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, my cover band played a freaking Super Mario festival.
Yep.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was just a bunch of kids in a park and they had a giant screen and they showed the Super Mario movie right after we got done playing. And I had a bunch of kids running up to the stage asking me if I could play the Peaches song.
And you guys did.
Which I did because
amazing.
I was singing it and those kids were tickled pink.
Yep.
They were so excited about it and I was just screwing around, but they were so happy. I think they were happy I even knew what they were talking about. But anyway, if it's worked for those properties, then it stands to reason that a lot of kids could be like, I want to go to this Toys R Us place. Like, why don't we have a place like that? That's super cool. And it's like, bingo, there you go. Bring the freaking toy stores back. Just do it. They never should have gone anywhere in the first place. It was stupid. Oh, people, they don't care about toys. No, there's no such thing as a kid that doesn't care about toys. They may care a lot about their phone and their iPad and all that stuff.
They do, but just like anything else, when it's taken away from us, just like my Taco Bell Mexican pizza.
It always comes back to Taco Bell.
It always does. It makes us yearn for it even more.
Sure.
And it wants us to be nostalgic then. And now we're going to be even more excited.
Yeah.
As opposed to it's just always been there.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand Toys R Us was in a bad way.
It was in a bad way. It needed a whole revamp. So.
Yeah, we've talked about that plenty in the past.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, I think that if you get the young kids excited, because kids don't even really understand and know what a true toy store is. They go to Target and Walmart, there's some smaller specialty stores and whatnot. But if they see it in a movie and they're like, that place is a wonderland, and it's like, oh yeah, we used to have them all over the country. Right. They're going to be like, why don't we have that now? Be like, there you go. Yep. And there's all sorts of cool things you could do. I should just keep this in mind. I need to contact whoever needs to be contacted. But there's so many cool things they could do. Like, especially, they could do it like how they do at places like Disney and Six Flags and stuff. Like, go into Toys R Us, put up a bunch of like cool, like little QR codes and things like that throughout the store. So if a kid walks in there with his phone or his tablet, he can scan a code and like a cool character, like for, if they're over by the Barbie section or they're over by the Minecraft toy section or whatever, have them scan a code and have a thing come up and that's related to the product and the toy store. Make it a little more interactive. For today's kids, and they'll love it. They will. I know they will love it. They will. I'm telling you, they're going to love it. They'll love it. And I think that there are ways to make things more interactive so that for all the thing of like, well, kids are just more about technology. They are, but they do still love toys. So I think we can still make this a thing. Yep.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Contact who you need to contact.
Yeah. Now, speaking of toys, just real quick here, this is more of a personal thing, but I know there are some people out there that listen to this that are into this like I am. So if you don't know this, unless you're a new listener, I don't see how you don't know this. I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan, and I'm a little bit of a Star Wars toy collector. You would never guess that by the slew of toy videos.
Yeah, I was going to say more fanatic.
I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic. I'm a very, very strong enthusiast. I'm an avid enthusiast. I'll take that.
Okay.
I am an avid Star Wars toy enthusiast, but I'm not a fanatic. I know people that are fanatics, and I don't go that crazy about this stuff.
Right.
But anyway, we just had May the 4th pass.
We did.
And as such, Hasbro announced a bunch of cool new toys, as they always do. And there was cool stuff. There was new action figures for the Black Series line. There was new vintage collection things. There was a very, new helmets they announced, new lightsaber they announced. A lot of really cool stuff out there. But the thing that I was really excited about, and I have to bring it up because I've talked about this toy here and there over the years on here, is they are doing a type of, there's a caveat to it, a reproduction of the Sears exclusive Cantina Adventure place set.
Oh boy.
Now, do you know what that is? Do you know what the significance of that is? Do you remember? You will if I say it to you.
And we're like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, when that play set came out in 1978, you've heard me talk about this when we've done our catalog and our Christmas videos. That play set was the first Sears exclusive catalog play set for Star Wars. And it was just a really flimsy, simple cardboard stand-up display thing that was painted to look like the outside of the Creature Cantina on Tatooine. But the significance for most of us was that it came with 4 brand new figures that weren't available anywhere yet. And that was Greedo, the infamous Greedo. Okay. Everybody knows Greedo. That was Hammerhead. That was Walrus Man with both arms intact before Obi-Wan slices it off. But the big white whale there, or I guess I should say blue whale, is that it came with Snaggletooth. And
he was the wrong color.
He was, yes, you know what I'm talking about now. He was blue Snaggletooth. He was supposed to be red, and he was supposed to be much shorter. But they made him of normal height. And he had these like funky silver boots on and this blue jumpsuit. He's awesome. I loved that figure as a kid. Even before we knew that was like wrong, or that was going to be, it had nothing to do with this is going to be worth money or any of that other crap. I just thought he was a cool figure. I loved the Cantina aliens. I loved all of them. And I had that playset as a kid. It's one of my fondest memories from Christmas was getting that playset. So much fun setting all my figures up on there while they have now re-released it. However, the downside, at least for some people, the downside is people were hoping they would do this someday and release it as part of the retro collection. So it would be a literal reproduction of the same set we had back in 1978. But that's not what they did.
Okay.
It's more of an updated version of it that comes with vintage collection figures. And it does have Greedo, Hammerhead, Walrus Man, and a blue Snaggletooth.
Okay.
But they're done in the more hyper-articulate, modern vintage collection style. It's not the 5 points of movement retro collection ones. Because there's the retro collection, which is basically like vintage, old-school 1970s figure style. You've seen me show them on here. Like I did that box set with Yak Face and all that people were excited about. There's the vintage collection, which is they look vintagey, like in terms of their packaging, and they put out like vintage characters and stuff, but they're with modern sculpting, and they don't look as silly as like the old retro style ones. And then of course there's the Black Series, which is the most elaborate ones, which are the 6-inch ones that come in the boxes. And anyway, so people were really hoping they were going to put out a retro collection one so that it was just like the one from 78. It's a compromise. But in a way, I actually
still get a blue Snaggletooth.
I know, and in a way I think it's really cool because it's like it isn't just simply a reproduction of something I already had, although I'd be happy to have that. But it is really cool to see a blue Snaggletooth in the vintage collection. Like, so he's blue Snaggletooth, but he's done in this like little bit more, modern styling and everything. I think it's cool. The box and the backdrop still look very retro. Yes, I already ordered it. I had to.
How did we know?
Well, I'm glad I did because it sold out within like 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I jumped on that thing immediately.
Is it a pre-order or is it an order?
It's a pre-order. It's not
Okay.
going to come out until August, they said.
Gotcha.
However, once that thing comes in, I am definitely going to do an unboxing video for everybody.
All right,
So
you show it off.
I have to show it off. Yeah, I'm going to be super excited about this.
So, well, let's keep it on Star Wars.
Okay.
You know, the season 2 of Ahsoka's been announced, right?
Finally.
I'm so excited. Can't come fast enough. But it's been confirmed that good old Hayden Christensen
Yeah,
will be
Anakin.
a part of it. Good old Anakin himself.
Yeah, they promised him that there was going to be no sand. I hate sand. I know. I bag it. You know, here's the thing, man. Like, Hayden Christensen, I give him a hard time, but I really don't think that a lot of that was his
wasn't him.
fault. It was bad writing and bad directing.
Only act what you've been given.
Yeah, exactly. And he was younger, you know, so he didn't have quite the chops that he does now. He was fantastic in the first season of Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that whole storyline between him and her when she's dead in whatever you want to call it, in that
mystery world or
in the
in-between world.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was fantastic. I know there are some people that bagged on Ahsoka, but you and I watched it.
I loved it.
I loved it too. There were parts that were frustrating, just like any show, really. But overall, man, I was so excited. I couldn't wait for the next episode. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was all killer. We did, anybody that's interested, if you want to go back and watch or listen, we did do a review of every episode each week back when that came out. That feels like that was 500 years ago.
It does.
Man.
It really, really does.
I appreciate that it takes a long time to make these programs because they're so involved, but this is taking too long. It's like, oh my gosh, they're only just now coming out with season 2. When did Ahsoka come out? Was that 2023? 2022? 23?
That sounds about right. One
Yeah.
of those two.
Yeah, one of those two.
Feels longer, but
It feels even longer. If it's only been 2 years or so, honestly, it feels longer than that.
so.
Same with Loki. Loki just feels
Oh,
like that was a
wow.
long
was
time
8.
ago.
Yeah, that had been like 5 years ago.
It wasn't, though.
It feels like
I
it.
think was that even more
Recent than Ahsoka?
It might have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. There's
I know.
so much of it.
Well, and it's just so tough because that's another show we reviewed every episode.
It was.
And we loved that show,
Oh,
too.
yes.
2 of the best shows that I've seen in the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to hurry it up, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's super surprised that he's coming back for season 2. But I am glad that it is confirmed. You know, I think that bodes well for some questions we had at the end of the last one, especially with what is going to be the whole father and son,
The Trinity?
The Trinity thing with the Force there, and speculation about how he might factor into that. Yeah, I definitely think he's going to. So that is pretty exciting. Moving on from that, though, let's get into, speaking of Star Wars, but let's get into some real life Star Wars stuff.
Okay.
So apparently, astronomers have discovered that there is a planet way, way out there. It's amazing.
And a planet far, far away.
It is in a galaxy. It is literally in a galaxy far, far away. They have found a planet that is orbiting 2 stars,
Oh,
just like Luke Skywalker's home planet of Tatooine.
nice.
I'm really curious how that.
How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it could work. I mean, I guess it depends on.
Clearly it does.
But think about the amount of heat that 2 suns would have to give
You
off.
just would never have night, right? I mean, how did it work on Tatooine? Wasn't that why it was a desert planet? Because it was so freaking hot with 2 suns?
It was why it was a desert planet, but I mean, they had night. They did have night on Tatooine. We saw it plenty of times.
Okay.
You know, when Anakin went out and slaughtered all those Tusken Raiders, that was at night.
At night.
You know, so I don't know how that works, but that is really interesting to me. It's interesting also because I think people sit there and go, well, there can't be any life on that planet then, you know. But I'm going, well, there might not be humanoid life like we know it, but how do we think that we know what all life is like?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Right.
Only thing we know about life is life on this planet.
Life as we know it.
Right. Yeah. Hence the term. Right. Exactly. Well, there you go. Megan has the last word and scene.
And done.
Yeah. But yeah, it does make me wonder, like, what kind of creatures or what kind of things could possibly be living on those. I think it's just beyond our comprehension.
It is. It's really fascinating.
I think it's fascinating. So yeah, if I'm definitely looking forward to finding out more about this as they reveal more information, but it is crazy. I mean, another favorite story of mine is of course, I've talked about it before, the movie 2010. The sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. And in that movie, spoilers, don't listen if you don't want to have this movie from, 40 years ago spoiled. In that movie, Jupiter ends up exploding and becomes a second star. It becomes like another sun.
Okay.
So now we live on a planet that has two suns.
Stars.
Now the whole thing is how in the hell would that affect? I mean, there's no way that wouldn't affect our planet.
Oh, absolutely it would.
But in there, they make it like, oh, we just have another
big
sun, and
deal.
it never gets dark anymore. It's like, I think there's more that would happen than that.
Yeah. A lot. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The oceans and weather. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
So the whole ecosystem would just be completely out of whack.
Yep. All right. So our last thing that we have for shaking bacon
Yep.
is another real life thing. And it is that scientists brought back to life the extinct dire wolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like Game of Thrones style.
I was just going to say Game of Thrones fans rejoice. Yeah, that's, man, that's something I feel like we could almost do like an entire episode about on its own is just have we ever done a DNA cloning episode?
We have not.
I think we've talked about it here and there a little bit, like when we've talked about dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, yeah.
But I don't think we've done like a whole episode that just talks about like all that kind of stuff. It has been a long time since we've done one of our real
talks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in the day, way back in the day, we used to do...
Went to school uphill both ways.
Yeah, back in the day when we started this podcast, we had to walk 5 miles in the snow to go and record a podcast talking about science. No, back in the day, we used to, on this channel, we used to talk more about that kind of thing. We'd talk about... A lot of that was because we had Vito on board, and he was a big science nerd like you. Yeah, maybe we could get him back. Maybe we'll ask him if he wants to be a guest, and we can do
one of those every now and then.
Yeah, we can do something where we talk about that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm fascinated that they can even make that happen.
So what do they do? Like clone them or something?
Yeah. So okay, this company is called Colossal Biosciences. Man, that sounds epic and nefarious at the same time. Colossal.
Okay, say it again.
Colossal Biosciences has announced the birth of 3 direwolf pups, claiming to have de-extincted the species using ancient DNA and gene editing technologies. So the pups were named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. Of course,
okay,
we're going with the Game of Thrones thing. And they were created by editing the DNA of gray wolves to include direwolf genes. And so the process involved extracting DNA from direwolf fossils and using this gene editing, whatever you want to, science that's called CRISPR.
Okay.
They put them in the CRISPR. It's spelled CRISPR. And they used this CRISPR gene editing to create pumps with direwolf characteristics. So, in a way, I mean, it's kind of like the Jurassic Park dinosaurs, where they are not necessarily 100% pure
dinosaur
original Brontosaurus, because they had to use other
fillers.
Yeah, like would they use
frog DNA
the frog DNA. We used frog DNA, and that cartoon thing they showed, and yeah. But anyway, so that's basically how they did it. That species, the direwolf species, went extinct over 12,000 years ago.
Wow.
So they said the gene editing was used to modify 14 specific genes in gray wolf cells that resulted in pups with direwolf traits like thicker fur, stronger jaws, and broader skulls. The edited gray wolf embryos were then implanted with domestic wolf surrogates, and they gave birth to the 3 pups.
Okay.
So they were natural
so
born
clones.
Yeah, they weren't done in like a test
petri
tube.
dish.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and while some people are like, "Oh my God, it's crazy they could bring it back," there's other people that are saying like, "Well, technically, you didn't bring anything back. You created something new. It's a hybrid, because these aren't true dire wolves." Yeah.
Just because we can.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the big thing, was like when this got announced, I think a lot of us just immediately turned into Jeff Goldblum.
We did.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Well, again, these are just wolves, but I mean, obviously we know that this is not something that's going to stop here.
No.
We've even seen in recent news articles that there have been instances where
We found like dino DNA.
they or at least
or collagen or something.
That's what it was. They found collagen in dinosaur fossils, which is now, and they didn't think that was possible. So now they're like, well, maybe it is possible to find actual dinosaur DNA out there. Because originally they had said, no, that's just sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, it's all disintegrated by now. There's no way we'll ever find that.
Right.
So.
But
What?
So apparently that might be in our future. It may not, who knows? Again, like you said, it may not even be in our future. Maybe this is something that'll come 40 years from now, but it could happen. So time will tell.
Yep, that's true.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thank goodness I've been pressing the buttons correctly so far.
You screwed up at the first time before we started.
All right, so we are back with the next segment of the show. In this segment, it is titled Squad Talk. Now, technically, we've been doing Squad Talk of sorts the whole time because all of the things that we just covered have been shared at various times in the Geeking Squad group on Facebook. But this kind of focuses more on things that we had particular participation for from the Geeking Squad members. And if there are any Geeking Squad members that are listening to this, you better be listening. Come on, guys.
And you rock.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, you guys rock. We love everybody that comes into the Geeking Squad and participates in these things. A lot of times you're all sharing stuff, and this is kind of the section where we get into the things that you have shared. And one thing that you all love to share, as do we, are memes.
Yep. Choose memes.
We get a lot of memes. We get a lot of really funny memes in there as well. Obviously, we're not going to just start reading those because that would be lame. You got to see them. But what we can share now and what we can debate on ourselves here are the choose memes, like you just said. So we get the choose ones. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the ones where it'll say things like, you can only choose one, or one of these has to go, or what's your favorite year, decade, movie, blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts of things like that. And we've got several here that we're going to talk about because none of these have you or I commented on in the group. We've saved them all for talking on here. Now. So it just worked out really well that way. So first up, I think Jess shared this one actually, if I recall. Yeah, this was a good one. I had to think about this a little bit. So this meme has to do with video game consoles. Primarily it deals with video game consoles from the 90s. And you can keep 3 of them, but one of them has to go. The 4 that they gave you to choose from is Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, the N64, and PlayStation. And this refers, I'm assuming and going by the meme, it refers to PlayStation 1. So it's not PS4 or 5 or anything. None of that counts. We're talking about just those classic consoles from the 90s. One of these has to go. Megan, I'm hitting you up with this first. Which one would you eliminate from this batch?
I definitely cannot Super Nintendo. That's my favorite. It's never going anywhere. So that stays.
Okay.
Sega Genesis is my second choice. That's my second favorite.
Yeah.
All right. So those are my top two. Those are going nowhere. They stay with me. Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. You want to know something?
What?
I don't know if I've ever played either one of those. I could get rid of both of them.
Really?
To be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if I already got a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, I would do 64 then.
That is a good way of thinking, and that is exactly the way I was thinking about it. Because, yeah, here's the thing. Obviously, we're not doing rankings here, but since you were just kind of mentioning, out of all four of these, me personally, my number one favorite is Sega Genesis. Okay. I'm a Sega Genesis kid. That's what I had. I still have it. Love Sega Genesis. Love Sonic. Love a lot of the other games that were on there. Played the crap out of that console. So Sega Genesis is number one for me. Number two for me is PlayStation.
Okay.
I got a PlayStation kind of late in the game. By the time I got my PlayStation, I think PlayStation 2 was already out. But I really liked PlayStation, and there was a lot of cool games that were on there that you couldn't play anywhere else. You know, they have everything from Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and all that. They had like Tomb Raider on there. They had Twisted Metal. There was a lot of really cool games to play on the PlayStation that was unique to PlayStation. And at the time, man, that was such an advanced system, you know, like that was really getting to the next level. Number three for me would be Super Nintendo, because as I've famously talked about, and we did a video when we did our Super Nintendo video with Vito. That was the first time I ever properly played Super Nintendo in my life as a full-grown old-ass adult.
Wow.
So I grew up with regular Nintendo with, NES. That game system I knew. But Super Nintendo, it's Super Nintendo. It's great. It's got Super Mario World. It's got Donkey Kong Jr. It's got so many good games. I am not even going to talk about freaking Mario Kart because I hate that game. It's the bane of my existence.
It's only because you suck.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. But even that being said, Super Nintendo is just great. Now, here's the thing. I have nothing against Nintendo 64.
Nope.
Nintendo 64 was a really cool console, and it had cool. I think Nintendo 64 was the last game console to have cartridges. I think that, okay. Yeah, I think after that, everything moved on to CD style, there was, or downloads after that. Yeah, I believe the N64 was the last cartridge console out there. People at home, correct me on that if I got that wrong, but the way I remember it, that's the way it was. So anyway, because that's like the least for me in terms of like what you just said, I was kind of going back and forth because I was like, I don't really have a ton of experience with either of those Nintendo systems. My Nintendo is the NES.
Right.
But we don't need to. We really don't. I don't need two Nintendo cartridge systems. And Super Nintendo is a little bit more my speed. One that I've been very eager to get my hands on one now ever since we did play Vito's Super Nintendo. I really would like to get one. Nintendo 64 is one I'd like to get too, but just from what I know about it, there's not as much that I think appeals to me there. So okay. I think you and I are in
agreement. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. That doesn't happen
That's
a lot.
Weird.
Yeah, I know. All right. So here's another good one that she shared. This was choose your favorite taste of nostalgia. And this was specifically about chips. Yeah. About some chips, but these aren't just like any old chips, not like your typical Doritos and Ruffles and all that stuff. These are chips that I don't think these are around at all anymore. I certainly haven't seen them in years. So you have to choose one of these to bring back. Which one would you bring back? There are pizzerias, tater skins. We've talked about tater skins before. Yeah. Pizza puffs, or Oh Boise's. That name always cracked me up. Oh, Boise's. Even when they first came out, I was like, what kind of name? I get it's like Boise, Idaho, and potatoes. I get it, but I was like, that is a wonky name. All right, so I'm going to go first on this one, okay?
Go for it.
All right, so here's the thing. Oh, Boise's, I kind of vaguely remember what they taste like. I think they were okay. Terrible name. just a terrible name. I'm sorry. I don't think it's that clever. I'm going to pass on that for right now. Pizza Puffs. Now, I'm mostly familiar with Pizza Puffs being from Chicago. You say Pizza Puff, I think of a deep fried pizza puff like I would get from Harmony Hamburgers on 106th Street when I was a kid.
Right.
I don't remember these exactly. I don't remember them tasting like that. I don't know. They're a big question mark for me.
Okay.
For me, it's really going to come down between pizzerias and tater skins. I liked tater skins a lot. I like potato skins, even now. They sometimes they make me sick, but I do like the taste of them. I like tater skins. And pizzerias, I have a conflicting memory here because here's the thing. I have this memory of really liking pizzerias. The problem is that I think I also have a memory of one time eating too many of them and them making me sick.
I could see that happening.
They were very tomato-y.
Yes.
And they tasted really good. Very tomato and oregano-y, right? If I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. They had a great flavor to them. But when you've gotten sick off of them, it kind of ruins that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So I think I'm going to do the safe answer here. And I'm going with tater skins.
Okay.
Because I don't recall ever getting sick of them. They had a couple of different flavors of them. Mm-hmm. They had like a sour cream and chives one and a cheddar one. And
like a bacon one.
Yeah. I think that's the safe choice for me. I'm going to go with tater skins. I'd bring those back.
And just so I don't rehash everything you just said, ditto.
Okay.
Ditto. Oh, Boise's, I don't really remember those.
Yeah.
Pizza Puffs, I don't have any memory of.
No, me neither, yeah.
Pizzerias, I remember them being a little too spicy for me as a kid growing up.
That could have also contributed to the sickness. Yeah.
I loved.
Yeah.
Especially the bacon ones. So,
okay.
Potato skins.
Okay.
All the way.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So once again, how is this happening?
I don't know.
That's 2 in a row we're both in agreement on. Okay, so we both go for the tato skins.
All right.
Wow.
So we got, what, Nintendo 64 gone and tato skins are staying.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah,
all
okay.
Right.
I can deal with that.
All right, well, let's see about this next one. I don't know about this next one.
Okay. Yeah, this next one's a tough one. This next one is one of the you can only keep one. And kind of continuing on with the whole snack vibe of it, you can only keep one of these snacks, and it is Doritos, ice cream, chocolate chip cookies, or chicken wings. Only one of those can stay.
No. I can get rid of one.
Oh, I already know what you're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's going to be the chocolate chip cookies.
Absolutely.
Because you're the biggest, you're such a weirdo. How can you not like chocolate chip cookies?
No, I'm good.
Oh my God, I love chocolate.
If I never had one again, I'd be fine.
Wow. I love chocolate chip cookies so much. Too much. Take a look at me and you can tell I like chocolate chip cookies too much. All right, but Meg, I'm going to make you choose then. So which one? You can only keep one: chicken wings, ice cream, or Doritos.
So is it any kind of Doritos, any kind of ice cream, any kind of chicken wings?
It sounds like it's pretty general like that. Means like if you choose Doritos, then there is no ice cream.
This isn't. No. Get rid of chicken wings because I could do barbecue chicken.
Yeah, it does specify chicken wings, so I don't think that means you can't have like chicken legs or chicken breasts or anything. It's just wings.
So I can do I can do my chicken legs barbecue style, right? It's my favorite.
Right.
So that I'll kick that out begrudgingly. But Doritos and ice cream, man, that's not right. I mean, I like other kinds of chips, so I could pivot. Maybe do a different kind of, get me some tato skins out there or something. If I can get those to come back.
Bring back tater skins so that she can get rid of Doritos.
Oh, that's hard though. I really love Doritos.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm leaning towards ice cream right now. I've been on such an ice cream kick lately.
Yeah. All right. So
I think I'm going to go ice cream.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. That was hard. I don't want to. Ice cream. Just do it before I change my mind. Ice cream.
This is super hard for me. Now, Doritos, I don't eat that often, so I could live without Doritos. I love ice cream. I love chocolate chip cookies, and I love wings. I was actually leaning towards keeping wings, but then you just kind of ruined that because
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Your plans.
It's good actually because I was like, oh man, I don't know. But you made a valid point because I could probably live without wings as long as I could still have other chicken.
Right.
I don't have to have wings. I love wings.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Same.
But if I could still have a good chicken leg or chicken breast or rotisserie chicken, whatever, I'm good with that. So I'm going to eliminate Doritos and chicken wings. For me, it comes down to you can either keep chocolate chip cookies or ice cream. This is going to sound insane because I really love the one. But I don't know if I could. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
This one sucks, man. I don't like this one at all.
This is terrible. My inclination is to say I want to keep chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
Because I really love chocolate chip cookies. But the truth is that I'm not even really technically supposed to be eating chocolate chip cookies because I'm not supposed to be eating a lot of chocolate because of my medical problems, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not good for me. And ice cream, there's so many varieties of ice cream and that I can eat. I mean, there's even Carb Smart ice cream, which I love actually, out there. And I tend to love like vanilla ice cream or strawberry ice cream. I think I got to keep ice cream.
No shit.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. I was really thinking it was going to be chocolate chip cookies or chicken wings because what are you going to replace? There are other cookies out there.
Right.
There are other cuts of chicken out there. There are other chips out there. What the fuck are you going to replace ice cream with?
Ice cream, I want ice cream. I don't want another dessert. I want ice cream.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I got to keep ice cream. And that's what you chose.
This is getting weird.
This is weird. Man.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Quit being weird.
All right. Well, I thought for sure we'd bicker on that one.
Well, this next one is the one where I think that our paths will diverge.
Okay.
Because this one is talking about stadium snacks.
All right. Still in the snacks.
Yeah, we're still on snacks, which is kind of funny because I'm going to do something. I'm going to break a rule, Meg. I'm going to tell people about something we're planning.
Oh.
We've been doing the movie showdown thing that we just started where we are putting two Disney movies up against each other and ranking them. And then eventually we're going to have a big brawl for all at the end of the year with all the movies that have moved on. Mm-hmm. But since we're kind of in like movie mode and everything, we decided we're going to do a ranking of movie snacks, meaning specifically ranking from, we're going to do it tier wise, like S tier, A, B, C, D, and F. We're going to rank movie theater snacks, and specifically not just snacks you would eat at home watching the movies, but the ones you get at the concession stand at the theater. I think we talked about it. We narrowed it down to like 13 or 14.
Yeah, something like that.
Different ones. And we're going to do that. And that's going to be coming up real soon, actually. So
it is now.
Yeah, it is now. And so this kind of fits right in there with that. Even though this isn't movie theater, this is specifically talking like stadium. So it could be like at a sports game, like football, baseball game.
And that's something we were talking about when we were planning the movie one.
Yeah.
I was like, stadium and movie, this is totally different.
Well, it's not totally different, but it's different. There's enough difference there.
But it's in my mindset. When I'm at a stadium, I want a certain snacks. When I'm at a movie, I want certain snacks.
Yeah, and I think that needs to factor in here when we pick this out, because when you're at a stadium, like say if I'm at a baseball game in the afternoon, I'm going to eat differently than I am trying to watch a movie in the dark at 9 o'clock at night or something like that. Very, very different. So yeah, even this is not going to reflect what we're going to do in the movie snacks ranking episode.
Nope.
All right. I made you go first last time, so I got to go first this time, I guess. Oh, that sucks. All right, so the ones that you can only keep 3. At least we get to keep 3.
Yes, thankfully.
But you can only, because who goes to a stadium event and only gets 1 snack? Kind of weirdo does that? Certainly not a fat guy like me, I'll tell you that. But you get to keep 3 out of this. And the choices are popcorn, beer, pizza, hot dogs, peanuts, nachos, a soft drink, a soda drink, soft pretzel, and French fries. This is tough, man. This is real tough. Kind of feel like that's crummy that they put soda drink in there because, I mean, everybody's going to get a soda drink.
Of course you got to get a drink. I think we need to kick that out.
No.
I mean, that's obvious. Okay.
But you do have to consider that there's also beer listed here. So you can choose between beer or a soft drink. Well, I mean, that's easy for you. You don't like beer.
I don't like beer.
So,
I mean, if you had like a mixed drink in there, then we'd be having a problem.
well, we could throw that into the mix there. I think that'd be fair. It doesn't have to be beer. It could be an alcoholic drink.
Okay.
An adult drink. So would you choose an adult drink or a soda?
At a stadium, like a sports stadium?
Yeah, like at a sports stadium or going to see, like when we went to see Metallica, or something like that.
Okay. Alcohol.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I choose an alcohol drink.
I knew. Okay, so
At least I gotta have the one.
All right, so that's your drink. You're going to have an alcoholic drink, and then you get 2
Wait
snacks.
a minute, how am I going first? You totally swindled me.
I did.
Damn,
I did.
That was good.
Pull the old switcheroo on you. Yeah, no, I did.
you
Yeah,
sure
so
did.
well, you volunteered. You're like, well, I'm picking this then. It's like, all right, you take the wheel.
No. Guys, help me out here. He asked me.
All right, well,
What
how
would you
about
do?
this? All
Okay,
right,
you pick your drink.
Well, I was going to say we'll each pick our drink first.
Okay.
While I'm not completely averse to having the occasional adult drink, I'm going to go with soda.
Okay.
I usually like a nice cold Sprite,
You do.
something like that. Ceramus Sprite 7-Up, like a nice clear cola like that. I guess it's not really a cola, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Soda like that. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Sprite because one of us has to drive.
Okay.
It's probably going to be me. So
yeah. I
will
usually
go,
get like the big, tall margarita.
Yeah, like the thing when we all went to see Journey. You got that big crazy drink that
Yeah.
time. That's funny. I wonder what kind of drink you're going to get when we all go see that. We're going to that 80s show next month.
Oh, I wonder what they'll have.
Yeah, we're going to see Rick Springfield and Wing Chung and John Waite and John Cafferty. That's going to be a fun show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have to figure out what kind of drinks you and Jess are going to get when you go.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine.
At least we got DDs.
At least designated drivers. Well, thank goodness the concert's
It's 2
so close
minutes away
we could,
from our houses.
From either of our houses. Yeah, it's like 5 minutes away for each of us. So yeah, that actually kind of works out. Anyway, all right.
Back to where
Getting
we're
back
at.
to the list. So all right, so I'll go here. I got soda. You've got alcohol. I'm gonna go with a hot dog because that's my default.
It is.
I always get hot dogs.
You're a hot dog.
The third is a harder choice. I can't do popcorn, really. I can't do peanuts for sure. Nachos, man, I love me some nachos and I love French fries, but those are kind of so because I can't eat really spicy stuff. And sometimes the nachos are a little too spicy for me.
They're zippy.
And sometimes the fries are too.
Yeah, they put the pepper on them. And
Yeah,
stuff.
if they're peppered or if they're those like kind of spicy like curly fries. I love me a soft pretzel. If you give me a hot dog, a soft pretzel, and a tall Sprite, it's like, well, I'm good. That's going to do me for the event, because they're filling. Between the two, it's filling. It's a lot of bread. There's a lot of bread there. Oh, I didn't mention pizza. Pizza. I don't know. Oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen you get pizza several times.
Yeah, pizza or soft pretzel. See, here's the thing. I feel like the soft pretzel is going to be more complimentary to go with my hot dog. Because getting a hot dog and pizza,
I was going to say, you either got to kick pizza out or a hot dog.
well, that's not happening. I'm not kicking out the hot dog. I love a hot dog. So, okay, you just helped me decide there. Then that's going to be it. It's a hot dog, soft pretzel, Sprite.
Okay.
I'm there. So now you got your alcohol.
I got my alcohol. Yep. I got to go with my nachos.
Okay.
I do love my nachos.
Booze and nachos.
Booze
All
and
right. That
nachos.
sounds like trouble. All right.
Oh, frack. I like French fries when I'm watching something because that way I can just kind of watch and munch.
Nibble. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, because pretzels, I usually get the cheese with it, and I've already got nachos, so I really need pretzels and cheese?
That's a really good point. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
I mean, I love it. I'm not turning it down. I'm going to steal half of yours.
I was just going to say, you're just going to steal some of mine then. That's fair enough. I steal your fries, so.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with alcohol, nachos, and French fries.
Okay. So still nibbly. You could dip it in ketchup or something.
Stuff, yeah.
Barbecue sauce, something like that. All right. I think that's fine.
Yep. Yeah, because they tend to have like those Parmesan French fries at some of these events too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are good. All right.
Yep.
Let's stop talking about it. Don't make me reconsider.
No, you can't. I'm stealing your pretzel. You're stealing some of my fries, and everything's good.
Fair enough. Yeah. See, at least if you get the fries and the nachos, I have you to test it out so that I can know whether or not it's, too
Safe.
spicy for me, because then I didn't waste my precious money. All right. So here's the last one. Now, this is one that you shared. And this is just dirty pool, man.
I saw this like, oh, this is gonna get Larry.
Oh, this is a really tough one. So we're back on the topic of music. We didn't have any music related choose ones here. And this is hard for me. So you chose this. It was choose a square. In each square, it represents a musical decade. So first you have the 60s, which has The Who, the Rolling Stones, Cream, the Kinks, the Doors, the Beatles, and Jimi Hendrix. That's a hell of a decade. But then you've got the 70s, which has Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Rush, Fleetwood Mac, Queen, and Kiss. Oh, gosh. Okay, then the 80s, you've got Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Poison, U2, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, and Aerosmith. I love how Aerosmith makes it into the 80s one, even though that was a 70s band as well. But so was AC/DC for that matter. So
Well, AC/DC's in both.
Oh, gosh, you're right. AC/DC is in both. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I guess that's accurate, but all right. And lastly, you've got the 90s, which is Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Oasis, Foo Fighters, Blink-182, Nirvana, and Smashing Pumpkins. I'm making you go first this time.
Oh, crap. I wasn't ready.
Well, you better be ready.
My initial gut reaction was to choose the 80s.
That's what I figured you would probably choose.
Yeah, they're all really good.
Well, I think that, like, for you, the 90s, there's a lot of 90s music you like, but it isn't necessarily.
It's not listed here.
It's not those bands. And I think we need to go by.
Some of them are.
Yeah, but I think we need to go by these particular squares. We gotta go by we can't alter it, because I think that's not fair.
I think I'm going to have to go the 80s because I'm more familiar.
Yeah,
with
Bon Jovi and Poison and Def Leppard and the Aerosmith.
Guns N' Roses.
Right,
yep.
Yeah, that's all more fun, like Saturday night out kind of music.
Yep.
You've heard
dancing.
Yeah, you've heard me
drunk.
play all of those songs.
Yeah, exactly. I blame you.
Yeah, exactly. This is okay. So let me just do the elimination thing first. 90s. I like a couple of those bands quite a bit, but I could do without the 90s. I'm famously not a big fan of the 90s as a decade overall. I'm just going to eliminate the 90s right now. Not saying that, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, the two of my favorite bands, love those bands, but I'm going to eliminate the 90s. The 80s, I like all of those bands. I mean, once upon a time, some of those bands, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, man, Poison even. I mean, there was a time those were some of my favorite bands. But I wouldn't say those are bands that I sit around and listen to a whole lot. I have my moments. It's probably been ruined because I've played all those bands so much and cover bands. It's kind of been ruined a little bit for me. Not that I haven't played a bunch of these other bands too, but I'm going to eliminate the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to eliminate the 80s and 90s. For me, the really, really tough one comes down between the 60s and 70s.
Yep. I had a feeling that's what's going to get you.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know because, look, the inclination, I think, again, for me and for anybody that knows me, is going to be like, Larry, you're going to pick the 70s, man.
Yeah. Kiss is in there. And Fleetwood Mac, come on.
Kiss, Fleetwood Mac. Queen? My favorite guitar player of all, I mean, just in that 70s one, you have like my favorite guitar players of all time, because you've got Tony Iommi, you've got Brian May, you've got Lindsey Buckingham, you've got David Gilmour. I mean, David Gilmour and Brian May are my top two guitar players. The only thing that would make it worse is if they'd put Journey in there, because then that would have been Neil Schon, and that would have been my top 3 guitar players of all time. But then you've got Led Zeppelin with Jimmy Page, and I mean, yeah, Angus Young, AC/DC. Oh, so like my inclination is go, 70s. But then I look at the 60s. And here's the thing. Cream, I know people are going to think this is blasphemy. I'm not the biggest Cream fan. I feel like Eric Clapton and Ginger Baker are overrated, man. Like, not that they weren't good. They're very influential. I just don't get off on listening to them much. But man, the Beatles?
Yeah.
I mean,
Beatles boy.
I mean, I listen to them every day, literally every day, I think. The Doors, I've been on a big Doors kick lately. The Who, I love The Who. The Stones, Jimi Hendrix, and even the Kinks. I'm a huge Kinks fan. Oh.
Pick one. Only one.
Why you do this to me?
I know it. Got to do it.
Okay. Oh gosh, I didn't even notice. No, you know what? I mentioned all these other bands. You know what band I didn't even realize was
overlooked it?
I overlooked it looking at the 70s. Rush is in there.
Rush is in there, yeah. Sure is.
It's the 70s.
All right.
I got to go with the 70s, man. Kiss, Rush, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Fleetwood Mac, Queen. Like, literally, if that was the only bands I could ever listen to for the rest of my life.
Described Larry, that would be it.
That's pretty freaking close. I mean, somebody just commented on one of our other videos about my 70s hair.
He did.
So they said, keep that 70s hair. I plan on it. I'm trying, man. At 52 years old, it ain't that easy. But yeah, I got it. I can't kid myself. But boy, it's painful letting go of that 60s. The Beatles, come on. Oh gosh, yeah.
Later, Beatles.
I don't know why you would do that to me. That's just cold-blooded. But yeah, all right. So there it is, I guess.
And that's that.
What do you suggest?
All right, we are in the final home stretch here, and this is our What Do You Suggest segment, where Megan and I each like to make a recommendation, a gentle suggestion, if you will, of something that we've been digging or binging on or reading or what have you that we think you should check out. And Megan, it's traditional. You usually go first with your suggestion. What are you suggesting the people at home check out?
So I could not remember if I've suggested this before, but I've recently rediscovered it.
Okay.
So if I have, I am re-suggesting it.
Okay.
And it is from 2021, the drama series Leverage Redemption.
Okay, so it's the sequel, right?
To it. And it's in its I think 3rd season now.
Okay.
It's on Prime, and I think it's Leverage. I love it. But I was having a harder time getting into it because of the changing characters.
Right.
I mean, it has some of the same characters. It's got the same premise and all that. But I've been rewatching it, I guess, with a fresh mind now. And I'm loving it. It's such a fun ride.
Okay.
I adore this show. Who's Noah Weil from ER.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And the new girl, Alicia Taylor, Brianna, and she plays Hardison's sister in it, and she's the new tech person, and they're playing off of each other really well.
Okay.
So I am not as heartbroken that Hardison and all them aren't in it anymore.
Okay.
He's brought up all the time.
So they didn't just like eliminate his character. He's just not in it.
He's just not. Yeah, he was like in the first episode, and now he's like overseas, but they refer back to him so much because Parker's basically married to him. So
I see.
And then she's got his sister with her. So yeah, it's just fun. It's still them, using their talents. We got the grifter, the hitter, the thief, the hacker person, and all that. And now we have a lawyer in the mix. And they just take all their talents and put them together, and they go after these rich people that are totally screwing over people that can't afford to fight them.
Okay.
And making things right, basically.
Okay.
So taking the rich people down, the bad rich people, and giving the poor people the justice or the treatments that they need and all that. So,
Okay.
So I adore it. And they always make you think, oh no, they've been found out and they've been outsmarted and all this stuff. And really all along it was all part of their plan.
Oh, okay.
And you kind of see how it all came together at the end. And it always makes me say, oh my gosh, because I'm always just along for the ride. Never just trying to figure this out. I'm just along for the ride. And I adore it. It's silly. It's fun.
All right.
It's drama, but it's funny too.
Leverage Redemption on Prime.
On Prime.
All right.
Watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend not a series, but a documentary because I like my documentaries.
You do.
And this is not on Prime, but it's on Netflix. And it is a documentary about Norman's rare guitars. Now, for those at home that are not musicians, it doesn't necessarily mean this isn't something that wouldn't interest you. I think it's a very interesting story. It focuses on Norm, the guy that owns Norman's Rare Guitars. He tells his whole backstory of how he got into this business of dealing these guitars. Now, Norman's Rare Guitars, for those that don't know, it is a world famous guitar shop based out in California. And I mean, it's the kind of place where you could go in there and at almost any given time, you might run into somebody extremely famous because his clients are like some of the most famous people in the world, and not just musicians. I mean, we're talking like he's had big name actors and actresses come in there. He's had politicians come in there because a lot of people play guitar, or play bass or play banjo or whatever. And he deals in all the stringed instruments, but he's been doing this for so long. He has this insane collection of instruments, and he always seems to be, the honey that attracts all the bees. You know what I mean? Like he's always able to get not only these big name people to buy from him, but he's able to get this great influx of new and used instruments that everybody wants. But what's also cool about it is that Norm is very personable himself. He's a character. He is that store is not the same without him. He's just one of those people. You have those different people throughout history that just seem to have that sort of personality that just glows and attracts other people. And it's just a really interesting story. It's funny. It's a little heart-wrenching at times. He's been dealing with some health issues that could, potentially mortally, afflicting health issues. And he's been around a long time. And as he's getting older, they do kind of address that of like, we have all these guitars and it's world famous and everybody shops here, but it's not lost on anybody, not least Norm himself, that he is a big part of the attraction. People like Joe Bonamassa and all these other rock stars go in there, not just because they want his guitars, they want it or whatever, but it's because of Norm. They like Norm and they have a relationship with him and he knows how to treat them and they trust him. That's a big part of it too. People don't understand especially when it comes to buying really expensive guitars, the stuff that these guys like your Joe Bonamassas and your Jimmy Pages of the world, they're spending a lot of money on guitars,
right,
or they're trading in very expensive guitars, and they have to be dealing with somebody they know they can trust. Not only that he trust him to know what he's doing, but know that, trust him with their confidence.
Deal and stuff.
Yeah, and with confidence and confidentiality and all that. So it's not lost on Norm and his family and the clients and everybody that when Norm goes, because it's going to happen eventually, an institution is going to be changed, and it's never gonna be the same. And they do touch on that quite a bit in the show, and it's really interesting. But again, like I said, even if you're like, well, I don't know much about guitars, it doesn't really matter. I think, in fact, in a way, I feel like if you don't know a lot about guitars, especially if you don't know much about like collecting guitars or the history of all that kind of stuff, this is great to watch because it's really informative, and I don't think it gets over your head at all. And he's just, his story alone is a little kooky at times when when he talks about like how he got into it. His wife is in there and she's been around for 50 years or something, so then you get her side of the story on it, which is pretty funny. And what's also cool about Norm's Guitars is that it isn't a place that like you can't go to. I mean, he still has guys that bring in their 10-year-old kids to get their first guitars and stuff. So it isn't just like some hoity-toity place for rich rock stars. It's like, it's kind of open to anybody, technically.
Nice.
I definitely suggest people check this out. If you're looking for something like that, this is a really good documentary. It's not dry and boring. It's got a lot of heart to it. So yeah, Norman's Rare Guitars documentary on Netflix. Should definitely check it out. And and with that, I think that is about it for us. This has been another long one.
It always is.
Yeah, well, we only do one once a month, so that's the way it goes. But all right, everybody at home, whether you're watching or listening, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the podcast. Of course, the channel, we have all kinds of videos that we're doing. We're doing all our music trivia. We've got the shorts. We've got Movie Showdown that we're doing. We've got another one of those coming out. Plenty more stuff that's going to be coming out. So come back and check us out soon, and take it easy, everybody.
Bye, guys.